Isan fights at in Dublin, Ireland for UFC Fight Night 76, and with me is John
Balfe.
Balfe, and he's an Irish MMA journalist, and he is with us today to break down the UFC Fight Night Dublin card. And John, thank you for so much for doing
Absolutely,
this.
no problem.
Before we get into the fight to the fight card itself, where are you going to take me today? I want to see Dublin.
Have you had a pint of Guinness yet? Do you drink Guinness?
No, I don't. I don't drink at all.
And you can't just like waive that for one weekend. You can't.
It would be pretty hard.
Fair enough, no problem. You're in the right place to see some good sights, especially the River Liffey. That's a very famous river. So yeah, you're in a good spot.
Someplace good to eat. I'm really, really hungry as well.
Well, what are you in the mood for?
Some Irish food.
Irish food? Okay, I'm not sure you're in the mood for Irish food just yet. That's like a packet of potato chips in bread. But we'll sort you out though. We'll think of something.
Let's look at the card itself.
Yeah.
The first time UFC came to Ireland was in 2009. Second time, 2014. The big explosion with Conor McGregor on the card, and pretty much, probably the loudest event ever. This time out, just a year after 2014 with Conor McGregor. The co-main event is not there. The main event just fell off with Joe Duffy having a concussion. What is the buzz around in Ireland right now? And where was it yesterday?
Well, given that we only really learned the news at about 10:30 last night, I think a lot of people are still digesting it. But I think we're fortunate to an extent that this particular card, which is taking place in the arena, which we're standing in right now, has so many Irish fighters on it, particularly that man over there who's still talking, Paddy Holohan. A lot of people had been suggesting that the Paddy Holohan-Louis Smolka fight was the people's main event, and what has actually just happened is it's kind of graduated to the actual main event. So it'll be interesting to see, because Paddy is one of the most beloved figures in Irish MMA. A lot of people are big fans of him. He's got a great record. He's got a very tough opponent. So I think that's going to be an outstanding fight. And I think we're fortunate to a degree that we're still going to get an outstanding event.
UFC has given the fans a chance to get refund for their tickets. Do you think the arena will still be full, or will some of the seats will be empty?
I'd be very surprised if there's empty seats. I anticipate some people might potentially take in the refund, but I mean, if you lose a Joe Duffy a Dustin Poirier fight, obviously that was the biggest fight in the card. It was the main event. It's a big loss for it not to be there. Everyone was particularly interested to see how far Duffy can go in the lightweight division, how far, and also the big subplot, which was Dustin Poirier being in Ireland and him coming out to Irish fans once again like he did in Las Vegas against Conor. So that would have been very interesting. But I think we'll be okay.
What is the relationship like between Joseph Duffy, who trains in Canada, and Conor McGregor has said a lot of things about Joe Duffy not being, really from Ireland because he doesn't live there. What is the relationship between him and the fans and the media?
With Joe Duffy, do you mean?
With Joe Duffy, yes.
Well, he's certainly not as media friendly as Conor is, I think. Well,
is this going to hurt him?
Well, I can't imagine when Joe Duffy will. I think it'll be some time before he gets the opportunity to headline an event, because I think probably it's only really Ireland where he can top the bill at the moment. As soon as he gets into the top 10, which I have no doubt that he will, I think Joe Duffy's a tremendously talented fighter. I think we'll be seeing him up the top of bills once again soon. But for his short-term career, this is a bit of a blow for him.
If he would have won the main event against Dustin Poirier, do you think that UFC would have tried to book him against Conor McGregor, maybe at Croke Park?
It's interesting. A lot of people were suggesting that if Conor does end up moving to lightweight before too long, that the Joe Duffy fight makes the most sense. And obviously now that we have Dustin Poirier up there as well now in the lightweight division. And he's been campaigning for a rematch with Conor. We have Max Holloway, who was over here otherwise asking for a rematch with Conor as well. You've got Cerrone, you've got Dos Anjos, you've got a lot of good fights for this guy.
How is Irish MMA these days? Because we know that in 2014, the big explosion, with the event itself and Conor McGregor, but a year after, is the buzz still the same, or has it drawn down a little bit?
Oh no, the buzz is particularly around Conor McGregor. He's arguably the most famous sports person in Ireland at the moment, or he's certainly the most in the public eye at the moment. We have some other superb athletes. Our rugby team actually just suffered a blow last weekend, but they're phenomenal athletes as well. We have some great golfers, as you know, and all sorts. But I think that the MMA has certainly exploded in the last 12 months since last year's event. But prior to that, a lot of people forget that when the UFC was here in 2009, that event sold out in an hour or two as well. I was at that show. They had a show up in Belfast, which is in Northern Ireland, in 2007. Again, same thing, that sold out very, very quickly. So I do think that some people overestimate the influence of the last year or 18 months that has had on Irish MMA. Certainly it has been the largest singular boom, but there's always been an interest there. I'm just, as a journalist, I'm excited to see it push itself further towards the mainstream, which it is, and for it to get covered in mainstream newspapers and on television news shows, which previously would never have happened.
Let's just say Paddy Holohan faced Louis Smolka from the get-go. Would it still be sold out today?
That's a good question. I'd say I certainly don't think it would have sold out in whatever it was 10 minutes that this event sold out in so quickly. But coming into this fight, for a lot of the fans who are on the newer element of MMA, a lot of them probably wouldn't have a great idea who Joe Duffy is anyway. They'd probably know Poirier, obviously, because of his history with Conor. So I think it would have sold out, certainly, because at the end of the day, it's still a relatively small arena. I think about 9,500, and you're obviously having there's some great other fighters in the card, Dalby, of course, and you've got a lot of English fighters coming over, so they bring their own little pockets of support over here as well. And Dublin is such a nice city to be in that I think some people do make it an excuse to come over for a weekend in Dublin and take in some fights.
You got to make a prediction for the main event. Paddy Holohan against Louis Smolka. Who do you got?
Okay. Well, this time last year, or rather last July, although he did end up winning by submission, I predicted Paddy Holohan by triangle in his fight with Josh Sampo. So I was incorrect that day, so I'm going to double down on that. I'm going to say Paddy by triangle.
And the co-main event, which is now Reza Madadi and Norman Park. Who do you got in that one?
I think that's a very, very close fight. I think that can go either way. There's a couple of variables. This is Reza's first fight in a couple of years. His last fight before his stint away from the sport was a very good victory against Michael Johnson, who's since risen to, I think he's top 5 or top 7 in the lightweight division.
Do you think Reza is up to that standard right now, or is Michael Johnson just a better fighter today?
Well, it's difficult to say because that was the Reza loss was, for whatever reason, it lit a fire underneath Johnson, and he went on a big streak after that and beat some very, very tough fighters. So Reza is obviously, he knows what he's doing inside the octagon, but he's not the youngest competitor, and as Dana White always says, the octagon rust it's a real thing. So
do you think the loser of that fight, Reza Madadi versus Norman Park, could be cut after that fight if they don't win? Because Norman Park has lost 2 fights in a row, and Reza Madadi, we know all the baggage he brings into this fight, not having fought in 2 years and then been to jail and whatnot.
Yeah. I wouldn't like to suggest that. I don't think that's for me to say. I think I've got a lot of respect for both of those fighters, so I'm not going to really comment on their job prospects at the moment. I just hope that they both go out there and they're both at 100% and they put on a great show for everyone in attendance.
And then third fight on the main card, Darren Till against Nicolas Dalby. Not putting any pressure on you. Who do you have in that fight?
It's a fantastic fight. 2 unbeaten fighters going at it. I like them both, to be honest. This is one of the fights that's the most difficult to call. Do you know who the favorite is? I don't even know who the favorite is.
It's Dalby. Very, very small favorite, but he is.
Okay. I can see Dalby taking it, but again, Till, his country is just over the water. It's not very far from here, and he'll have a lot of fans in attendance too who are cheering him on.
You're on the fence.
I'm on the fence. It's very comfortable up here. No, I'll go with. I'll predict Dalby by decision. That's what I think.
And I assume it's because of all the pressure from the Danish fans seeing the interview.
Media has been all over me in the last while. No. Nicolas Dalby is a tremendous fighter with a great upside, and I expect to see a lot of him in the future.
Either way, it will be a great event. First time here in Dublin for me. I'm looking forward to what you're going to show me here in Dublin. Yeah. And thank you so much for the preview. Pleasure. And anything else related to UFC Fight Night 76 in Dublin, tune in to MMADK.dk. We have all the coverage right there.